Hello and welcome to Floristry Market. My name's Greg and...
I'm Emma.
Right, everybody, welcome. Today, now let's talk about Oasis a bit, shall we? Oasis foam, made by Smithers-Oasis.
Yes.
Everybody knows it. It's been around for centuries, it feels. It's not centuries, but a long time. Everybody's familiar with it. It'll always have a place in the industry. However, there are some more eco-friendly products that Smithers-Oasis make, but you're saying that people are a bit frightened or aren't too sure how to use them?
I think people want to use the more sustainable, environmentally products that are out there, but they're maybe not sure of how to use them, or they don't want to kind of like, it's like if it's not fixed, it's not broke, don't fix it.
Yeah.
So they're kind of like, I'm going to stay where I am, but they're very aware they want to use more sustainable products. Or there might be people that are new to the industry and they're looking on the website and they're kind of looking at things like this, which doesn't have anything in it.
Yeah.
And then they're kind of like, well, I don't know what to use that for or where to begin, or they've got questions. So they're kind of like, you know, they know with the floral foam that it soaks really well, that the flowers last quite well in it. How much water it will take up, and they're not sure maybe, or they maybe haven't used it. So we thought we'd talk a little bit today about, you know, how we use the products and what the range that we have and how you'd use the different things.
We obviously sell the traditional foam,
yes,
but we are trying to extend this range because we do see an increase in demand in the industry in general.
Yeah, and a lot of it is actually customer led.
Yeah.
So lots of customers want something that's going to be better for the environment. And I've seen that particularly in the last 5 years, a lot more people are kind of questioning our methods, products that we're using. So these kind of products just are great for a florist because then you've got alternatives.
Okay, all right. So where should we start? Should we start with, I guess this is just like, what's this called?
Well, so this is FibreFloral. So this is kind of like your more eco kind of traditional block that we would use in day-to-day floristry. So kind of like most arrangements like baskets, funeral tributes, anything like that. So this is actually a product which is based on volcanic basalt. Basalt. Okay. So, and if you feel it, compared to traditional Oasis, it's a little bit heavier. So it's not really heavy, but it's a little bit heavier.
Oh, if only we had a block of traditional Oasis. Oh, Emma!
So can you feel?
Wow, yeah.
It's quite a lot lighter. So I think that's one of the things that people are concerned about. Because this sucks up a lot of water.
It does, yeah.
So I think that they might be worried that this one doesn't soak as much. So, you know.
Well, we've got some water there.
Should we do the test?
I think we should do the test.
The other thing I quickly want to say first of all is if you're doing with traditional floral foam, if you're doing dried or artificial flowers, you need two types. So there's this one for fresh flowers, and then there's the grey, denser one that's scratchy. Browny, So you'd need that for the artificial flowers, but with this one, you could use it dry for the artificial.
Oh, right, okay.
So if you've only got limited space or budget or whatever, and you only want to stock one type, then this will do both jobs.
Cool. All right, I'm going to hand those over to you. Or should we just drop them? I don't even know how to do this. I've never done this.
Right, so important things to do with foam is you mustn't hold it under the water. So you put them into the water and you let them sink. You let them do their own thing. So there we go.
Wow, so that's absorbing the water that quickly? That's absorbing the water
that quickly.
Oh, wow.
That's actually quite a long time, isn't it? We should have had a little timer going, Greg.
We can do that on the screen. Countdown.
Countdown.
Doo-doo.
And this is almost going to be like, and, you know, we could go off and make a cup of tea, I think.
Yeah.
Come back.
So how do you, when you're at your studio, how do you do this in big trays like this sort of thing?
So that is the answer, how I know when it's soaked, it sinks.
Okay.
So traditional Oasis, floral foam, whatever product you're using, you wait till it's sunk to the bottom.
Yeah.
And then when it's sunk to the bottom, you generally think it's completely soaked. And then when you cut it, if it's light green inside, then you know that you need to pop it back in. But what you don't want to do is hold it underwater or run these products under taps. You definitely they need to be submerged.
Why do you not hold it under the water?
It doesn't. It's very sporadic how much water it takes up. You know, this way it kind of thoroughly soaks.
Just
like you
does
can
it naturally?
see.
Does it
I don't know if you can see that, Greg. Look, it's just kind of like
getting darker.
It's getting darker. So this one soaks really, really quickly.
Yeah.
And that'd be really good to see how they take. So it's just obviously different products, different mediums. So if you're in a hurry,
Yeah. yeah. But I guess in reality, you're doing other things. You put that in the
reality,
water,
I generally like, particularly if you've looked at your orders or you know what you've got doing, so you'll work out how many blocks of foam that you need, and you'll soak those, and then they're ready to go.
So this is still floating, but
so it's still floating. So it will. So it's
will
starting
it
to
actually sink?
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, that's me
She
being
says,
impatient.
I hope so. Yeah, look, it's got the little air bubbles coming out, so it's going down. So that's another thing that you don't want to do, that I'm always telling my students off for, that you just did. Like,
Sorry.
So you're in trouble.
I'm new to this.
But yeah, that's soaking-ish. Nearly done.
So do you reckon, is that because there's still some... You're not supposed to do that.
I know.
Do you reckon there's
there you go.
some...
So it's still absorbing water. Look,
still some,
all the
dry
some bubbles
bits
are coming
inside.
out. I'm sure there's a whole science behind this and a whole, you know...
Well, I'd love to sit here all day and watch
However,
what we're going to do now...
We're going to see, like... Okay, so this one's much heavier. I'm going to let you try that.
Okay. They're both heavy, surprisingly.
Yeah, compared to how much they've gone in.
Yeah.
So you can see how much moisture that's like taken in.
That's amazing.
So that's great. So that's so both of them, but particularly this one, they're great for most flower types.
Yeah.
So, but that is across all mediums. So generally, there's some flowers that don't particularly do well in foam. That tends to be things like your spring flowers, so things like your tulips, your daffodils, things with mushy stems.
Okay.
So that's not really a negative of this product. That's just a generic
the way it
kind
is,
of the way it is. This has a really good neutral pH balance, which is great for most flowers. And actually, I'll come on to tell you some of the other things that it does. But yeah, it's a great alternative.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't think people shouldn't be scared of using it.
I remember the first time we met, you told me about the way to cut it as well.
Did I?
You did, yeah.
Oh, cutting it.
Not cutting it. Sorry,
so
which way to put the flowers in?
So sometimes you can use it that way. You can turn it that way.
So you wouldn't put it
you
like that?
You can do.
Okay.
And there are other products on the market that are very similar to this. And if you're using those, then you want to turn those sideways.
Okay.
So it's a slightly different thing.
Okay.
But yeah, so we can leave that there for the minute. So that's what you're going to use as your alternative to your traditional floral foam.
Okay.
So that's great. That has got a few other properties that are really positive for it, which we'll come back to.
Okay.
So
all of these products here are part of the Eco range. If you go to the Floristry Market website, we've got the Eco area, and you will find all these products.
Yeah, so you've got some great products here. So you've got things like, should we start with the pre-made frames? So you've got things like here, like the pre-made hearts.
Okay.
So it's cut to shape. You've got your biodegradable base. You'd soak that in the same way.
Yep.
And you'd pop that in. And these are great. They're great for funeral tributes and that kind of thing. And we're getting a lot more now natural burials. So where people are going to natural burial sites, so everything has to biodegrade.
Okay.
So that meant that historically you could only really do things like tied sheaves, tied bunches, because lots of the more formal tributes, like your hearts, your wreaths, things like that, they all came either on the plastic base or the resin base, which obviously doesn't biodegrade.
Yeah.
So it is giving your customers a bigger choice, and you'll find generally if people are having a natural burial, they will tell you that, and they'll kind of tell you the rules, and you need to make sure that everything biodegrades, everything breaks down. So these are great.
So these are made out of what, do you know? So I guess this is waterproof to a point.
Yes, so it's like lots of things. It's kind of like we have it with lots of eco products, not just in the floristry industry. I think where it's something that's developing, it's like paper straws.
Straws, yeah.
You know, a paper straw is not as...
Hate paper straws.
Yeah, okay, but it's kind of like, it does the purpose, it's fit for purpose, and it's one of those compromises that we have to make. Yeah. And I think that's a lot across all industries, isn't it? But the other thing is like products are developing all the time, aren't they?
Well, the world is changing, products are developing, we've got to do our bit, and it's just going to get better as time goes on.
I feel like it's just going to get better, and for the moment, these are things that, and it's, again, giving feedback to the manufacturers. The more people are using them, the more feedback you can have, then they can do product development.
Yeah.
So it's just one of those things, isn't it? So
yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
So yes, they do hold water to a certain point. You've got lots of lovely products. So you've got ones like these, and you've got these in like the wreath rings.
So they come in a pack of 4, like that.
Yeah, pack of 4 like that, and then they open out.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
You've also then got like empty products, like this. So that's for a couple of things. Something like this would be used for like a traditional, maybe like a coffin spray.
So that fits the brick, the traditional.
So
brick.
that fits the brick. So that fits the brick like that.
There you go.
Okay. So that fits in there nicely. So that's designed for that. You could, if you had something like this frame, you can cut the brick so that you can get this in and you can make that shape. But the other beauty of these products are if you don't want to use any like foam or floral substitute medium, this kind of thing allows you to kind of like use moss or chicken wire and other sustainable things. So you have to be really careful, particularly if you're doing something going to a sustainable funeral. You need to make sure that the products either biodegrade or you need to check the rules. They need to be able to be removed. So like things like chicken wire.
So chicken wire, you can go back
Chicken
and get
wire
them.
is sustainable and you can keep using it and using it. So the beauty of these frames are for your florists that don't want to use any sort of medium. They can use moss, chicken wire, something like that.
I'd just say that's a really interesting point you've made there. You talk about sustainability.
Yeah.
But you've just talked about a metal frame that's sustainable.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of people think sustainability, eco, biodegradable, all of those words are interchangeable, but they're different.
You have to, yeah. So you have to be very aware and with your clients and where things are going, you know, what you're actually saying, if it's going to be biodegradable or sustainable. So single-use plastic obviously is like the worst type, but other things like plastic vases and containers that we can go back and collect and reuse and keep reusing and repurposing. Obviously, they have that sustainability.
So that's sustainable, yeah.
So it's sustainable. So yeah, and again with the chicken wire you can take it apart, you can roll it back, you can use it, you can use it in other things. So they're not going to biodegrade, but they're going to be sustainable.
I just think it's interesting, the different use of language. So
yeah, so it's important that people do understand that, and they understand that when you get a client brief.
Yeah.
And things like that. Or even when you're talking to your clients and you're explaining it to them. So they might say, well, you know, why are you using wire? And then you can, you know, knowledge is power, isn't it? And you can give them that.
So you're finding that a lot of clients now are actually asking for this kind of product?
Absolutely. So I would have said 10 years ago, people weren't asking where their flowers were coming from, and they weren't particularly asking about any of like the mechanics, so the behind the scenes stuff. A lot more people now want to know where are your flowers coming from, what are their air miles, your products.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So the British floristry growing market is starting to explode. Lots of different things, Brexit, fuel prices, you know, we don't want to get too much into that. But there's an amazing website and it's called Flowers from the Farm. And if you go on there, they will give you a list, and they've got a little map of all the local growers in your area.
Oh, right,
so you might have somebody who specialises in just one particular flower, like sweet peas or Alstonberry or something like that, or you might have somebody that has got a bit more of a micro farm, and they grow all different. But yes, clients are, particularly the younger generation, I think they're really leading the way. Yeah. So I find a lot more of my wedding couples now want to be sustainable, and they also want to have flowers that can be reused and repurposed, so they don't want them just for that one day. I'm
seeing a lot of posts on Instagram and a lot of people actually going for artificial flowers at their wedding now.
Yeah, so people are hiring, so they're hiring them from, you know, specialists or general florists, so they're hiring and you can take them back, reuse them, repurpose them. Yeah. There's a trend in the States, which I really like, which is coming over here. So when people have a big event or a wedding, they have kind of a bit like a flower bar. So they have a bar and it's just full with jam jars. And then you have a little sign that says, at the end of the evening, please fill me and take me home. So people are kind of taking the arrangements, you know, taking them apart, putting them into a little jar, and then they're going as like gifts. So that's quite nice.
I'll bring that over to the UK.
Yeah, that's a really nice one. And then there's, in London, there's a company and they're called Floral Angels. And they noticed that lots of the big events in London, the flowers were getting left behind. So what they do is they're based I think in Covent Garden Market, there used to be. The big event florists will take back the flowers when they've collected them from the events. They will take them apart with a team of volunteers, reuse them, repurpose them, and then they go out to good homes.
Oh, that's great.
So it's great. So it's lots of things like that. Lots of funeral tributes now can be taken apart, and they will go back onto a hospice where they will take them apart and reuse them. So people are really wanting them to go further, but that's why these products and this foam is really good as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
So something like this ring would be perfect for a wedding table centre. So you'd fill it with your foam, and then you could have, quite often people have what we call a storm vase. So you know those big hurricane vases?
Yeah.
And they might have a candle in it with a lovely, beautiful arrangement. So what you do at the end of the evening is you take that apart and you gift it.
Yeah.
And this foam is really great for, you can put your cuttings in it. Growing. So if you've got somebody who's a keen gardener in your life, they can use it for like their plugs or their little plants and stuff like that. So that's great. So that's kind of like you're giving it to granny or auntie so-and-so, they've taken it apart, they've enjoyed the flowers, and then they're reusing the product.
So you can just reuse this.
You can just
over and
reuse
over.
that. You can't. Obviously, like everything, it's got a certain shelf life.
Yeah.
We'd have to check how many times we could use it. I don't want to say we could use it over and over, but you can use it more than once.
So you can put your seeds in there. And
yeah, and it's great. So you can put your seeds in there, and they just grow up.
It's like those cress heads.
Yeah, and there's something quite great, isn't there, about watching things grow. So
cool.
yeah.
And what's this one?
So it's great for that. This one in the cage, and this comes undone. So we talked earlier about the plastic product, but you can refill this.
Yes, okay.
So these are great if you're doing something like a big installation, so if you're doing an archway, or you want something, you're doing something big that's freestanding on the floor, and you want to attach, or, you know, they attach onto like church.
Something
so you can create quite a really big design in something like that. And the purpose of the cage is it helps for security. It stops any flowers like falling out. Okay. So sometimes when you've got big flowers with big stems and you're creating a really big design and you're hanging it kind of like that way. Sorry. I won't be allowed back, will I? So sometimes when you're hanging things like that way, you've got the...
See, that makes more sense. Do it with the dry brick.
With the dry brick, I know.
Thanks, Emma.
So once you've got them hanging like that and you've put all your stuff in, that can be quite heavy and it makes lots of big holes, and then things could start falling out. Yeah. And that's not with this particular product, that's with any foam. Yeah. So what the cage does is the cage helps to keep it in place, and then you've got these handy little hooks, loops, and then you can like just hook them on, and then after the event, you can just go back, take them down, take that out.
Fantastic.
Use that for your seeds and your plants, and then you can reuse your product in there. So it's sustainable.
Absolutely brilliant.
So yeah.
That's great. Well, thank you for that. If anybody does want to find out what else we're stocking in the eco range, just head over. I don't even know if it's called the eco range on the website. Anybody any idea? Sustainable, eco, who knows? You'll find it. We'll put a link down below. Thank you so much, Emma, and thank you, everybody, for watching. If you've got any questions, you can leave them down below in the comment section on Facebook or YouTube, and give us a follow on our social channels, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube as well. Subscribe, that's what you do on YouTube, you subscribe. So yes, from myself and from Emma, thanks so much for watching. See you next time. Bye.